Corbin Burnes on FTLive right now. Corbin, how we doing? And before we get to your stuff, what is this?
Oh my goodness!
What is this?
What is this sorcery that I see up there?
All by itself.
Yes.
Sorry about that. I forgot that was there.
Do you guys talk? Like, do you say hi when you walk into the room?
What's up?
You say hi to that huge piece of metal on the wall when you walk into the room?
It's a little lonely. I don't know. I have to find some more. There's got a bunch of slots up there for some more. So
yeah,
I like that.
True.
I like that. Yeah, you come by. He comes by after a good workout, and he's like, "I like you, Cy. I like what you're doing up there."
And for the crowd that will listen to this, like audio wise later, they're probably like, "What?" It's a Cy Young Award on the wall. So
it's his. It's his.
Yeah, he didn't take it from someone else, and it's real. Okay, so anyway, Corbin, let's start with this, and let us know if you need any more information on it because we can provide. But do you see the back and forth with Bryce Harper and Orlando Arcia, the good clean fun? Then he looks at him with his 2 home runs, and then afterward, it seems like there's a little bit of sensitivity from the Braves side. They also lost the game, but Arcia, said attaboy about Bryce, which players, you correct me if I'm wrong, do all the time after they win a game like that. And the media was there already and it was open. So cool. Anything you think was done wrong there? What did you think of the whole situation?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that you say it to the guys in the clubhouse, and you say it to your boys like, hey, we just won that game because of a mistake there. But obviously Arcia was pretty pumped up because of the the win. But yeah, I think that's something you not always think is going to get to the media and get heard by everyone. But the fact that it did, you got to go up, you got to own up to it. You got to go out and play baseball, and you got to go ahead and win a baseball game the next day. You can't let that affect you, moving into the next day, just because it can carry over. And like I say, it gives the other team momentum, but still got to go out and play baseball.
Yeah, the way, I don't know how much you followed it, but the way they handled it was more like, well, we didn't want anybody to hear that, instead of, in my opinion, like, hey, we just made one of the greatest double plays to end a game. And you know what? He may have made a base running blunder. Had he dropped that ball, Harper scores, and it may have been incredible base running too.
Right. Yeah. It's like you said, there's some things that are probably said that you don't want to get out, but if you run around saying it when there's media in there, you have to know that it's going to get to the other side. They're going to make a story out of it. That's what media's in there, and that's what media is supposed to do. They're supposed to make stories out of it, especially in a postseason setting where things are amplified even more. Like that's the stuff they're looking for. That's the reason why they're in the clubhouse. So you have to know that when something's said, as small as it may have been and taken out of context maybe a little bit, but you got to know when there's media around, it's going to get out there.
And my thing is, I just don't, it's not going to, because it'll get forgotten in a few days. I don't want it to take away from how the setup is currently. Like, players some like to talk to media a lot, some don't at all. Some like to do something like this versus be in the clubhouse, whatever. But the one thing that bothered me, and I would just say it to him, I will probably in the offseason at some point we'll bring him on. Travis Darno's like, well, maybe we shouldn't have, say anything to the media now, whatever, right? Like, all right. The clubhouse was open. It's not a big deal. To me, I just got, and Kratz started this, a little sense of, hey, the Braves are down 2-1. They had a freaking dominant season, and they're against the ropes, and they're probably just a little pissed off too as a ball club right now, which is also fine. But I don't think we get. Trust me, from a business sense, bad idea if we're playing all of these games and nobody's talking and no one's talking about them. Like everyone knows that's not good for business, and it's not like a reporter kind of did something weird. Like they're in the clubhouse during that time period. I don't think this is like anything that needs to be rectified.
No, there's obviously, when you see the media coming in, that, there a lot of times there's hot mics, there's that kind of thing. So there's a lot of reason why some older guys, when the media come to the clubhouse, they're never in there. They're in the weight room, they're in the training room, they're eating food. Like there's ways to go and have conversations with your teammates about stuff without media being around. They're only allowed to go in certain areas. So, it was one of those things that was a big game. It was a big win. It was a big play to end the game. They were all excited, rightfully so. But I think it's tough to then say, okay, we're not going to talk to the media, because that's just part of our job as baseball players.
To the Brewers, you are the same as Bryce Harper is to the Phillies. You're that big time guy. You're that guy that the team leans on in a big situation. Do you need motivation? Do you need somebody else to tell you, hey, you know what? I think Corbin Burnes did screw up last year and make the Brewers not make the playoffs. What? Now I'm going to go out and pitch way better.
No, I mean, I think, guys draw enough motivation from, the game itself. I think a postseason setting like that, where you're playing an in-division, rival, I think you have plenty of motivation as it is. Obviously, you don't play each other near as many times as we used to, but there's enough motivation for them playing back in Philly against the Braves, who were one of the best teams all year. I don't think that they, Harper himself needs the extra motivation. Maybe he drew from it. Maybe it was more the crowd drew from it more than anything, because he's such a big time clutch performer. But I don't think there's much extra motivation that needs to be added, because that's the pinnacle of the game right there, playing against your division rival in a freaking 2-homer game. Like that's the stuff you live for as a hitter. So I don't think he needs the extra motivation.
Needs? No. But here, I'll phrase it this way. Like, what if, and for both of you, what if I say, hey, go beat that guy in a boxing match right now, right? Just straight up. And you're like, okay. And then I put you in that scenario, and then same exact scenario in a vacuum. I go beat that guy in a boxing match right now. And first I have him come up to you and just slug you in the face. Will you perform maybe a little bit better?
You get more angry.
More angry, maybe there's some different kind of adrenaline. I'm not saying, like, that's my point. Does Harper hit those homers anyway? Maybe, probably, whatever. But my counter to what you said is, are there people that like to use things in general as motivation, as a chip on their shoulder? I mean, I mentioned in our first segment, Zach Gallen, when he was on this show, is like, yo, I think I should have gotten more Cy Young votes last year. I kept some of those names and votes down, not to like personally attack, but more for him to just be like, okay, they didn't think that I was good enough. And he said he's thought about that throughout the year. So I do think it can help someone tick a little bit, right?
Yeah, I think so. But from my side of it, I'm trying to go out and throw, 9 innings and punch out 20 guys every time. It doesn't matter if it's, opening day, if it's a meaningless start in July, or if it's the postseason. So I think Harper's kind of wired the same way. He's trying to go out there and go 4 for 4 with 4 homers. So, I think there could be an extra little chip on the shoulder because of some words that have been said. But, he's trying to go out there and make his, mark on the game and make an impact. And he's trying to hit a homer every time he comes to the plate, just like Gallen's trying to go to the mound and punch out the side every time he goes out there, just like I am. So, I don't think we need to draw extra motivation. But yeah, I think there definitely is, sometimes you have a little chip on your shoulder of trying to prove some people wrong, but that's not going to change how you perform or how you prepare for that game. You're still doing the same kind of things and trying to go out there and do your best every time.
All right. You said you're going out to prepare to throw 9 innings, 20 punchies. What if you're put in a Jose Barrios situation where he was, or maybe he wasn't told he's coming out? One, have you ever been put in that situation where it's like, hey, you know what, Burnesy? I know you're our guy right here, but we're facing elimination, so we're going to pull you because of this and that reason. And 2, how do you react if you are Barrios in that situation?
Yeah, I've personally never been in that spot. I've got a good relationship with Counsell. If I'm throwing the ball well and he comes up to me and asks, how you're doing, if I say good, it's good. Okay, keep going. So I haven't had that situation where I may be dealing and he comes and says, hey, you're done, that kind of thing. So I haven't come across that. But yeah, being in his situation, I think would be tough. I think from his side of it, you got to be like, yeah, I'm throwing the ball well, but there's also the understanding of the elimination game. And if they feel like there's better matchups, there's a lot smarter people that are looking at that and saying, hey, this guy, doesn't have, has good numbers against you. It's the second time through, third time through, whatever it may be. I think analytics, obviously, as much as we, like it or dislike it, it's becoming more and more prevalent in the game. Obviously, I'm not a huge fan of it. I think if I'm out there dealing, let me go, because stuff is different when you're throwing well versus when you got there your B or C stuff. So It's definitely tough. It's definitely, I think it's kind of something similar we saw a few years back with the Blake Snell scenario in Tampa. It just kind of seems like there's always one situation that comes up every year where a manager is going to be questioned, and that's just part of the game.
All right, you said you have a good relationship with Counts, but what if you're on that mound right there? What are you like? Is there like some kind of like, no? Is there like a talk behind your hand like, Counts, you cannot take this ball from me right now. I promise. I got this guy.
Remember Woodruff too? He
Big
told
Lou?
us when he came on for what was that, his complete game. They had a back and forth. It was funny. He talked for, as you'd probably imagine, like 6 minutes and gave us like literally word for word of what went down back and forth, and people loved it. He was just like, how many pitches I got? And they're like negotiating pitches on it.
And he talked about himself in the third person with a nickname too.
True.
Big Woo goes, come on, Big Woo, don't screw this up. But anyway, you're in that situation. Like, can you say that to Counts?
I've only had probably twice in the past 4 years where he's come out to the mound, I think gonna make a change, and I've told him like, no, I'm not done yet. And he kind of gets in my face, like, okay, then get this fucking guy out. But, usually it's in between innings, coming in. Multiple times I've been through 6. We're at like that 95 pitch mark, and I'm walking off the mound, and he's looking at me and just hits me dead square in the eye. And I just shake my head, no, like, no, I'm not done. And he goes, okay, and he lets me go. So there's very few times we have conversations of like, hey, are you done? You want to go back out? Because he knows if he comes up to me and he asks, I'm always going to say, yeah, no, I'm going back out there. But I'm always going to try to go as many innings as I can. So most of the time he has to make that decision before he comes to me of like, hey, no, that's it. We're at 100 pitches, whatever it may be. But yeah, there's only been a couple times where he's come to the mound, and I think he's come out with the mindset of making a decision to take me out. And I've basically said, no, I'm not done. And kind of just says, okay, then fucking get this guy out. So.
Okay, so I'm going to try to smoothly transition this to a few minutes on the crew. So will you make a phone call like that at some point this offseason, if need be, to Counts, whether it's for him thinking about another team or just not coming back, and say, dude, I'm going to need you for a few more seasons here. I'm going to need you to come back. It's a unique situation. He's a free agent. I know he's been super tight about it. He hasn't said much. We get a lot of Brew Crew on this show. I don't think we've talked to you about it, but Freddie Peralta said he tried to talk to him a couple times about it and just was stonewalled. Like, he's just like, yo, we'll deal with it later. Don't worry about it. But so I'm assuming he hasn't said anything to you, but even with that, do you have to make a phone call and be like, yo, I'm coming to the mound, Counts. Like, let's go, dude. I need more out of you.
I think when I left the Milwaukee at the end of the year, we always are in contact in the off season, and I think we'll even more so will be this off season as kind of things go. But he hasn't really tipped his hand on anything of what's going to happen. I know he loves the Milwaukee Brewers. He grew up in Milwaukee, going to Brewers games. His dad worked there. He's loved managing there ever since he took over. So I would definitely find it difficult for him to leave to go somewhere else. Now, does he take a couple of years off to go spend time with his family? That's definitely a possibility. He's got 4 kids and college, high school age. So he's definitely been away from him. That's something I think that all dads can kind of relate to if you want to spend more time with your family and your kids. So I wouldn't count that out, but he's been in Milwaukee his whole life. I would find it very difficult for him to go somewhere else. But like you said, he's a free agent. He's probably the best manager available out there. So if some team wants to go out and throw some ridiculous numbers at him, I think he's human, just like the rest of us are.
That was what I wanted to ask about. So, because he said, like, hey, I don't have a contract right now. It's okay to speculate about what will happen. I'm paraphrasing there. But that's why one thought process is, if you're a team, you can throw a number at someone as a player, as a coach, as an executive, any kind of role, right? You could throw a number at someone and say, hey, I want to keep you long-term, and this is what it looks like. He is a free agent at the moment. Would you be surprised or blame him if, he gets an offer that doubles his salary to go somewhere else, and he's like, listen, I got to live. Like, I'm going to do this for a few more years, and then I can just retire because I'm going to be so damn rich.
Yeah, I think if talks keep going long enough, I think there is that possibility that a team comes and offers some stupid number. But I think in the end, he takes that number, and if the Brewers can match it or at least get close, I think he goes back to Milwaukee just because that's where he's been, that's what he knows, that's what he loves. He's a Brewer, down to his core. So, do I think that some team is going to throw out a stupid number out if it comes down to it? Absolutely. I mean, he would be the guy. If I was a GM or an owner, that's the guy I want running a team. So. We'll see. I think he's in kind of the best spot you can be as a manager.
He's gonna make more than he did ever playing in a year.
Oh hell yeah!
if he puts himself out on the market. All right, we need, because they just advanced on to the NLCS, we need the Corbin Burnes scouting report of the Diamondbacks, please.
Yeah, they're a good young team. They're playing baseball right now like they were early on in the year when they were leading the division, beating everyone. It's kind of a lineup that when a few guys get hot, it seems like they all get hot at the same time and they become a very dangerous team. And I think we've seen that in our series and this, that Dodgers series. All of a sudden you get a couple guys starting to catch fire and Carroll and Marte, and then top to bottom, they swing the bat. They feed off each other. As you saw in that inning with 4 homers, they did it with me, with back-to-back homers, and a few innings later with the homer to Marino has been unbelievable. But yeah, I think when that offense gets going, it's almost, I wouldn't say comparable to the Braves because it's a different type of lineup, the way that they score runs. But I mean, man, when they all get going, it's an exciting team, and they play a different game than I think a lot of teams that are in that postseason with the speed, the contact, the on base. And I think that's where a lot of people don't realize big innings happen because of getting on base and the speed and the movement. Sometimes, a leadoff homer, a 2-run homer kind of kills the momentum of an inning, where these guys can keep it going with stolen bases and putting balls in the gap and running and the speed that they got from really top to bottom. So definitely exciting team. And then, Gallen and Kelly at the top leading that staff is pretty tough to beat.
So I know you're never going to say you're afraid of a lineup, but of the 3 National League teams left, who do you think is the most difficult to navigate? Because the Braves run and slug, the Phillies run and slug, and the Diamondbacks, they've been slugging. They didn't slug quite like the other 2. But for you, which one's the hardest to navigate?
I would say the most difficult to navigate. I still got to say the Braves. I mean, the first 5 or 6 in that order, when they're all swinging the bat, like there's not many places you can go to get those guys out. You've really got to be on top of your game. There's the Phillies. They have a lot of there's a lot of swing and miss in the Phillies lineup. But when they're clicking, like when Harper's doing what he's doing, Castellanos is doing what he's doing, like they're tough to beat. And then you got the Diamondbacks that are a team that's not going to punch out. So it's kind of 3 different lineups. But for me, I think the toughest to navigate would probably be the Braves. When they're clicking right now, they're struggling a little bit offensively, but 1 through really 6 or 7 in that order are really good.
Okay, so it's been a week. Have you processed the season, and what are your thoughts? And I know, like the season ends, it's weird. You talk to the media for 5 seconds and maybe, you say some buys to some players. So, what did you think? Is the disappointment level high? Did anyone say something to you that kind of stood out? Because, I mean, I'm sure you're watching that series, and yes, the Diamondbacks are good and they're hot right now, but you're like, damn, we could have beaten the Dodgers and been in this NLCS too.
Yeah, it's tough, because we had such a good year. To go out and win 92 games is tough to do. And we had points in our season where we really struggled, and then we had points where we were really, really good. So as the season as a whole, I think we're kind of proud of what we did and how we played. And, obviously how we ended the postseason was tough, was disappointing, because we felt like we had a really, really good team to go deep in the postseason. We felt like we were lined up well. We just came across a hot team that played better baseball than us for 2 games. But I think, as a season on the whole, I think we're happy with how it went, proud of how it went. Personally, I'm pleased again. I was able to take the ball every time through the order. That's kind of my goal, is to every 5 days be out on the mound and help the team win and give them a chance to win. So that's kind of was my goal from the beginning of every season, is to be healthy, throw as many innings as I can. Obviously, we dealt with a bunch of injuries in the rotation, but we had a lot of guys step up that threw the ball well. So I think it was, on the whole, it was a good year and just a disappointing finish to a good season overall.
All right. Obviously, you don't know what's going to happen to Counts, but let's paint a quick scenario here. Counts is gone. I'm in as the manager. Are you happy or are you not happy?
When are you being named as the manager? Is it soon or is it later in the season? Later in the off season? Because if it's later in the off season, I might be hosed and have to come back. But if it's early enough, I might be able to petition for a trade.
January 30th.
Ooh. Yeah, I think I'm hosed. I think I'm stuck.
Yeah. Okay. I'll make sure I push out negotiations.
There's a stack of resumes right over there that he's sending out to the teams for all the managerial opens.
For all the openings. 4.
Wow. Now we're gonna keep him on the show, at least for now. So don't worry. We'll sign him to a bigger contract than Couch, so we'll keep him here.
There you go. There you go.
Corbin, enjoy some downtime here. We'll get you in a few weeks later in the off season and say hi to your boy behind us for us.
Yep, we'll do. Thanks for having me out, guys.
Thanks, Corbin.